Well, Jenna, first of all, I think it's important that we say this was not Woj reporting that Kevin Durant is upset with the way things are going and will demand a trade or ask for a trade if Kyrie's not signed. This is just Woj putting it out there that the Nets have to be weary and are leery of that possibility. That said, I don't think so. I don't think they should give Kyrie the 5-year max. Now, I am just philosophically against giving a player who's been so unreliable and unavailable a 5-year fully guaranteed max deal, especially when, as great as Kyrie is, and you guys know I am the president of the Kyrie as a first ballot Hall of Famer fan club, all right, or club in that regard.
You are.
However, Kyrie's impact on winning just isn't showing up. In fact, this year, they were 30-23, the Nets, without Kyrie, and they were 14-15 with Kyrie. And we know they got swept by Boston with Kyrie in the first round of the playoffs. Over the 3 years that he's been in Brooklyn, their record without him, they win 56% of their games. With him, they win 56% of their games. So I'm just not going to give him the full 5-year fully guaranteed max without some stipulations on there. Now, obviously, I don't want to upset Kevin Durant at all. However, I'm going to bank on a few things with KD if I'm the Nets. Number one, I don't think he quit on a team like James Harden did twice. I just think KD loves basketball too much, respects the game too much for that. Number two, I don't think that KD, because of his love and respect for the game, would go nuclear like Ben Simmons and just sit out and just basically, I'm not playing. And also, Ben did have the explanation of mental health issues, which Kevin Durant doesn't have. And three, Nick, I don't think Durant has the leverage. When Anthony Davis and James Harden worked their way out of Houston and New Orleans, or New Orleans and Houston respectively, they only had a year left on their deal after that season. Kevin Durant's got 4 years left on his deal. So theoretically, the Nets could trade him anywhere. Guys have leverage in terms of determining where they get traded when they say, really? When they have 1 year left and they say, look, you can trade for me, but I'm not re-signing with you, so nobody will give up a lot for him. But he's got 4 years left. They could send him anywhere, theoretically, and he wouldn't have a say over it. So I think the Nets should stand their ground.
Theoretically, a lot of things are true. Realistically, here is something that is true. We've never seen a superstar traded somewhere that he desperately didn't want to go. So, we always hear this, teams have all the leverage. In the NBA, the teams never have the leverage. Not over the 10 best guys in the league. And Durant is clearly one of those. So this idea that the Nets would be like, Kevin, you're playing for us, or we're sending you to the once upon a time frisky Magic, I just need to see that happen. I have seen guys who used to be superstars traded somewhere they didn't want to go, like Blake Griffin, but Blake didn't want to be traded at all. Blake wasn't a superstar anymore, and they were like, Blake, sorry, buddy.
He was a superstar when they traded him, Nick. Was he not still a star when they traded him? I don't think he still was.
He
wasn't Kevin Durant,
I think he was,
but he was a 20-10 guy.
He was a good player who had dealt with, but he also didn't want to be traded at all. It's not like he demanded a trade and they're like, we're going to show you, we'll send you to Detroit. He thought he was going to stay with the Clippers. Listen, I do not think that if Kyrie walks, Kevin Durant demands a trade this offseason. However, I also do not think, Wilds, any of these guys enjoy watching the playoffs. You got LeBron out here being like, maybe I should start my own podcast. You're not starting your own podcast, Bron. You won't even go on anybody's podcast. You just are like, damn it. There's so many things going on, and it's got nothing to do with me. Stop it. We have one guest and one guest only, Lil Wayne. That's it. Greatest rapper alive. Other than that, it's me and my son. The Kevin Durant in the last 4 years has played in 28 playoff games. And if this year Kyrie walks for nothing and the Nets are once again mediocre and out in round one, you don't think Kevin Durant next summer's like, okay, I'm 35 years old now. He's going to be 34 at the beginning of this season, will be 35 at the beginning of the following season. I am not spending the final part of my NBA career in obscurity, even in a major market. So the Nets have to be thinking about, how do we make sure Kevin Durant finishes his career, or at least the next 4 years, his contract with us? And the idea that it is a tenable position to let Kyrie walk out the door for nothing. I just need to see the example, Wilds, of a superstar that walks out the door, the team gets nothing for it, and the team recovers in any short order. Even when, forget superstar, even when Durant left the Warriors, they got something for him. And you know what? Ended up being important. They got D'Angelo, turned it into Wiggins. Conversely, when Durant left the Thunder, they got nothing for him. Did they recover? No, they actually still haven't. In fact, right now they're a G League team. When superstars leave, Dwight left the Magic. They at least got something for him. One of the things they got was Vucevic, who was the best player on their team for a couple years. You can't let all NBA caliber players, which Kyrie is, walk out the door for nothing. You cannot let that happen. And so I don't want to give him a 5-year or a 4-year max if I'm Brooklyn. But what I can't let happen is a year from now, Kevin Durant say, this doesn't work for me, guys. This hasn't been fun. And I can buy my own private jet if I need to come to New York City for a meeting with Kleiman. So that's I think it would be a dangerous game Brooklyn is playing, because they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and they have trouble selling out Barclays. How's that going to work if Kyrie walks for nothing and then Durant has to leave? The Ben Simmons show? I don't know.
Oh, I'm into that. If you play all about the Benjamins every time he comes off the bench, I think just the sort of the Brooklynness of it gets everybody fired up. All right, so my theory on this, Broussard, has evolved. So first of all, I think there is a 0% chance Kevin Durant ever leaves the Nets. I think he is so scarred and has taken so many slings and arrows from leaving Oklahoma City to go to the Warriors. And then I think he's taken a lot of arrows for leaving Golden State and going to Brooklyn. Yeah. I just don't think he could take another, more shots to his reputation. I just don't think he wants to deal with that. I don't think he's interested. But here's how my view on Kyrie has evolved. I think Kyrie's team needs to walk in to Joe Tsai and Sean Marks and say something point blank. Do you want to be in business with Kyrie Irving? And if the answer is anything other than yes, not a yes but, then the deal is the max, and that's the end of the story. That's it. Sean Marks, I know you're from the Spurs. You don't have Tim Duncan. Sorry. You're working with Kyrie Irving. And you either got to decide you're in with Kyrie Irving or you're not, or you decide to go in a different direction. Because here's the thing, Broussard. People are like, oh, we can meet in the middle. We can meet in the middle and do like an incentive deal about the games. You play 65 games, we'll give you this amount of money. If you give you 64 games, we'll give you this amount of money. I don't think that's tenable in the real world. If Kyrie's at 64 games and Marcus Smart rolls up on his ankle, what, all of a sudden that costs him millions of dollars? If there's a legit personal emergency, Kyrie has to make a decision whether to deal with that and pay attention to that or miss tens of millions of dollars. It makes no sense. And people are putting it out there like, oh, it could be I don't think that works, man. I think it's a max deal or let Kyrie go. You have to make up your mind, and it's better to be in the Kyrie Irving business. That's how my theory has evolved.
All right, first of all, Nick, the example of the free agent that walked and the team was fine. How about Kyrie? Didn't he walk away from Boston to go to Brooklyn? And they were just in the finals. I think that's an example that worked out. Okay, number one. Secondly,
the fourth quarter scorer.
If Brooklyn doesn't make the playoffs or goes out in the first round this year without Kyrie, hypothetically, and Durant wants out, guess what? If I'm the Nets, I understand it. And I'll be like, you're 35, we didn't even make the playoffs or we got beat in the first round. I can get a haul for Kevin Durant. Then I would understand Durant wanting to leave. And I would understand the Nets being like, we tried it with this super team route. It didn't work. We can rebuild. We can get great young players and draft picks for Kevin Durant. Let's do it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.